It is incredible how expensive underwear can be, given that the amount of fabric that it actually takes to make them is so small. I recently decided it was time to get new underwear, and because I'm transitioning my wardrobe to 100% natural fibers and trying to go for organic and undyed cotton as much as possible, I decided to look for underwear that fit those specifications. And while it wasn't hard to find underwear like that, I realized pretty quickly that these types of underwear are very expensive. The cheapest I could find was $110 for a 6-pack of underwear. And because I'm someone who sews my own clothes, I immediately started thinking, how much would this cost if I made them myself? Now, this is a no-buy year for fabric for me, and much as I would have loved to stick to that and to use fabric that I had in my stash, I just don't really have that much knit fabric left in my stash, and what I do have is not really suitable for underwear. It was either way too thin and drapey, or it was kind of coarse because I had some stretch hemp fabric, but that just didn't have the right feel to be making underwear out of. So I looked online for 100% organic cotton stretch fabric to make underwear, and ended up deciding to make an exception to my no-buy rule for fabric this year, because it just makes way more sense to make them myself. This is the fabric that I ended up getting. So I think it's really cool. It's 100% organic cotton, and it is in its natural kind of color ways. So I didn't know this, but cotton apparently comes in kind of multiple shades of this, what would you call it, beige, beige to white kind of gradient. And so that's how this fabric was made. These are all natural. They haven't been artificially colored in any way. I think it's the perfect thickness. It's a little bit thicker than what I would say underwear is typically made out of, but I think that'll be a good thing. I think that'll mean that it will be more durable and long-lasting. So I spent the same amount of money on fabric and elastic as I would have spent on one 6-pack of underwear that I could have bought online. And not only am I going to make way more than 6 pairs, and I'm really curious to see how many pairs I will be able to make with the material I bought. I bought 4.5 meters of this fabric. And I hope I bought enough elastic. I wasn't really sure how much to get, so that might end up being the rate limiting factor. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how much underwear I can make with this fabric. And also, I just think this will be a fun sewing project. And I'm really looking forward to getting to try a new technique that I've never done before, which is using elastic. I mean, I've used elastic around like the cuff of a shirt or something, and elastic waistbands on shorts, but I've never used fold-over elastic, and I've never used the other kind of elastic that I bought for this, which is one that you sew down and then you kind of fold the, what do you call it, a hem over? You fold the edge over, but the elastic is not fold over. I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you me actually making the underwear and the 2 different processes that I'm going to be using with 2 different types of elastic. The actual pattern that I'm going to be using is called the Acacia underwear, and it is a free pattern that's available online. So I've got it linked in the description in case you want to make the exact same ones. While I was searching for these, I also came across a whole bunch of other types and styles of free underwear patterns online. So I'm going to have those linked below as well in case another style is more suitable or more interesting to you. But yeah, this is a free pattern. You just have to sign up to the company's email list in order to get access to it. All right, I think that's everything I need to tell you. So let's start making some underwear. I start by cutting out the pattern pieces, which is very simple. There are just 4 pattern pieces. I set my machine to a zigzag stitch and sew these 2 pieces together. I manipulate the fabric as I'm sewing to make sure the curved edges line up. Then I flip it over and sew the same shaped piece to the other side. Next, I sew the front to one of these pieces. I then use the burrito method to attach these pieces so that there are no raw edges. and I turn the underwear right side out. I then give it a quick iron to help the seams lay flat. The edges didn't line up perfectly, so I trim off the excess. I line up the side seams right sides together and sew along them using a zigzag stitch. This is what my underwear looks like so far. Next, I measure out the elastic for the waistband. This is fold over elastic, so I open out the ends and sew them together. Then I pin it in quarters and attach it to the underwear at the quarter marks. I stretch the elastic while sewing it to the edge of the waistband using a zigzag stitch, being careful to position the elastic so that it encases the raw edge on both sides. I repeat this process for both of the leg openings. And the first pair of underwear is finished. Now I'm going to try a different type of elastic. I repeat all of the steps for sewing the underwear, and when it comes time to sew the elastic, I line it up so that the scalloped edge is facing towards the fabric on the right side. I sew the elastic down using a zigzag stitch. Then I fold it toward the wrong side so that only the scalloped edge of the elastic is sticking out, and sew through the fabric from the right side using a zigzag stitch. I repeat this for the rest of the openings, and the finished underwear look like this. This is how the first pair of underwear turned out. I'm very happy with them. I tried them on and I find them very comfortable and they fit really well. Really, they fit better than any pair of store-bought underwear that I've ever owned, which is fantastic. I'm so excited to have these as part of my wardrobe now. This is the second pair of underwear using a different technique and a different type of elastic. Of the two, I think I prefer the fold-over elastic. It looks nicer on the inside and the outside, and it's a bit more comfortable just because it is a softer elastic. But both types feel really nice to wear, so I'm very happy with the pattern that I chose to use. So far, I have made 5 pairs of underwear using this pattern, and I've used a little under 2 meters of the fabric that I bought. Now, the fabric I'm working with is a little bit narrower than fabric that I typically use, so if you're using a wider fabric, you might end up getting more pairs of underwear for the same length of fabric. And I know I said earlier in this video that I thought organic cotton underwear was overpriced for the amount of fabric that it uses, which is true if you're just looking at the cost of fabric, but what I realized as I was making these is that it takes a decent amount of time to sew underwear. Typically, it's been taking me about an hour to sew a pair. So I understand that if people are being paid fairly for their labor, maybe $20 for a pair of underwear is not that outrageous of a price. I'm very glad that I have the skills to be able to make these myself, and I decided not to wait until I had finished using up all of my fabric and sewing all of the pairs of underwear before releasing this video, because I am sewing them kind of slowly and that is going to take me probably another couple weeks before I run through all of my fabric. So I might update you in a future video about how many pairs of underwear I was able to make. If you are curious to find out the answer to that question, you can subscribe to this channel and keep an eye out for future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any experience sewing your own underwear. And if you have, I'd love to hear what are your favorite sewing patterns and what was the experience like for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!